Very good morning to all of you. Good morning, Akash sir. How are you today?
I'm absolutely fine. Ipsita, how are you doing?
I'm excellent. I think this is the second time I'm inviting you.
Right.
It's a beautiful journey you have covered in these many times, and I will talk about it. But let me address the audience again. Hi, audience. We are back again here, and I think Akash sir was my first person to be interviewed on the chat, and I'm so glad after a year we have him back again. And to precisely say, we have never gone into a straightaway industry mode. But when I and Sir were, kind of thinking, contemplating, we believed one joint, what understanding we came to is that I personally am very enthused by IT. The second favorite industry for everybody is manufacturing. But there's one industry that is definitely one of our investments in gold also, like Sir was saying. It is the real estate, the construction and building. I think the Indian GDP itself is contributed by 9% of this by the construction industry. And there are huge things. If you see, the market is expected to reach at a 1.4 trillion by 2025 itself, right? And it is a rapid urbanization, the emergence of smart cities mission. I think the sector has to be touched by the new initiatives. And if I see Akash, sir, who better to speak? When I interviewed him first, when I interviewed him, he has a very big journey before that, serials entrepreneur, but he was with a product company, which was into project planning, I believe. An amazing company with 500, I think 50 to 100 crore, maybe somewhere around that figure. Then I talked to him over other discussions when he was part of a $1.2 billion company, which is NASDAQ listed. There he headed the data science AI. And then
That's
from a
right.
1.2 billion, he straight away jumped to what, $22 billion company? So
27 billion now. 27.
27 billion. And so I'm so happy to welcome him back as the AI initiative header at L&T Group. So that's an awesome opportunity. And he hails from Pune. So we'll talk about Pune also in the session. So,
Yeah.
sir, my first question to you is that the transition from 100 crore to 1.2 billion to a 27 billion. So I know how different they can be, but tell me what
Correct.
is similar? What is similar in all these three journeys for you?
Right, right. So I think thanks a lot, Ipsita, for inviting me again. And it has been roller coaster journey for me. So people have just started knowing AI right now. I wrote my first AI program on a parallel supercomputer in 1992. So that was where I first designed the first neural network. Now, from there, I always put it in a very funny manner. I started in AI, but AI took time to get democratized and, demand being set at an industry level. And that is the journey. I mean, so from 92 to my IIT Bombay days, one of my project was building optimal supply chain network. Another project was using neural network to predict exchange rate. So that has been very interesting journey. And same way from a small company to mid-size to Nasdaq listed to a global conglomerate. I think one of the most common thing in all of these journeys is there is a higher realization that AI can automate things. It can have competitive advantage. It can have bottom line saving. This is a understanding which is really important across all of these, my journeys.
True, true. Wonderful, sir. That's the part. So that's why when I was reading your designation also, so I was trying to frame questions for this interview. So I wanted to ask what's the role of AI because you are the AI head. But
Yeah.
if I really saw AI can be part of anything today. It is a revolution. It is the next power tool, and you have to. But having said that, I think all your transformation journeys, what is your initiative at right now in the real estate industry or in the building and construction, and AI infuses. How do you see this role of, your role is so wonderfully crafted. Do you
Yeah.
think all other large organizations also have that initiative now? They have an AI head separately than a CIO?
Correct. So this is, I think, L&T is one of the leading companies to have AI head, and this position was
Hmm.
specially crafted for me, and then I was headhunted for this position. And a lot of
True.
other companies and conglomerates are now following in having AI head.
Wonderful.
Now, the to simplify, what is the real function of AI head is, see, AI is sometimes
Hmm.
AI is full of jargon, sometimes AI is full of math, stats, vector algebra, linear algebra,
True.
probability. But
True.
the AI which can be seen on by the person on the ground, a person really who's doing, let's say, a construction worker. How does he see
Right.
AI? How does he see digital? How does he see
Hmm.
data science? That
Hmm.
is the journey which really excited me, and that brought me to L&T. So L&T L&T employs close to 3 lakh people and another 7 to
Hmm.
8 lakh construction workers. So literally, it's a close to million people organization. And these construction
Hmm.
workers, they are on all the sites. So L&T is making metros, airports. L&T built Statue of Unity. L&T built Ayodhya Ram Mandir. L&T is building
Hmm.
several AIMS hospitals. L&T is building
True.
Atal Setu. They built all of that. They want to see how AI can impact, and there are three ways AI can impact. One is bottom line impact. Second is some kind of automation
Hmm.
and convenience to the people who are doing their day-to-day job. Third is really building competitive strategic advantage using AI. And there are obviously more important things than that in construction, which is safety. So whether the person is wearing helmet or not. So we are using computer vision algorithm
Hmm.
for that. But we will expand on this as we move deeper into the this
Yeah,
conversation.
we will. We will. But what you said was really relieving to some extent because as we talk about AI, we're moving at that speed, especially after GPT came in. So there are perpetrators of the concept. There are people who are the founders of this technology and who are now concerned and they followed a group where they want to control the speed or the
Yeah,
ethics in AI. Now the main
correct.
question what I heard there is that guys, you are moving at a speed where the common man will even not realize what he's been hit by. Common man or
Yeah,
the person below the line who doesn't even know, and you're going to change the world at a speed when he is not ready. So when you
correct.
said how you're using AI, it's a big relief, and I'm kind of assured right now with just hearing you that we are not moving at that space where he's hurt. Rather, you are enabling him even today, and that's an awesome
Yeah,
initiative, and it allays those fears that we had that we'll move fast, and the one who don't even know how to read English probably didn't know what
yeah,
struck them. So I'm very
correct.
glad to hear
Yeah, I said
that.
correct. And a very interesting analogy here is
Excellent, sir. So with this, I think I'll move in building and construction industry. Hmm.
sure.
No, so I think missed you. What was the analogy you were talking about?
I was giving the analogy. See, when horses were replaced by automobile, there were few
Hmm.
safety concerns initially. We are at the
Hmm.
same juncture. Post 100
Hmm.
years, when Mercedes invented automobile, there were concerns about horse versus automobile. We are
Hmm.
exactly at the same juncture, AI or non-AI, and a lot of researchers and policy administrators across the globe,
Hmm.
they are trying
Hmm.
to build safety, ethical
Yes.
use policies,
Hmm.
responsible usage of AI. And I think we will mostly have all of those things in place
Hmm.
before AI gets to the next level of democratization.
Wonderful, sir. I'm glad you guys are also part of that contribution. So now I'll move on to the part where we'll talk specifically about the revolution that AI and the potential we have in the building and construction. I have personally, studied and understood how it has moved probably whether anti lean construction modular and safety risk. There's so many ideas which are now we know that it is impacted. So considering that, I want you to tell us there are about 6 or 7 areas I think I listed also before the call that we know strictly it is impacted by your implementation of AI. So if you start by the first thing that first of all, why don't you enlist the entire groups where it could make a change, where it could make an impact?
Correct, correct. So it starts with the when L&T is winning large construction contracts, it starts with tender by some
Hmm.
government agency. So reading the
True.
tenders using AI
Yes.
techniques and helping draft contract, and we call it as tender slash contract AI.
Hmm.
That's the first phase where
Correct.
you're
Hmm.
trying to enlist all the risks,
Hmm.
obligations, the nuances of various clauses. That's where the
Hmm.
contract AI starts.
So maybe we'll pause here and talk about it, and then we'll move to the design and the supply chain part. So, what do you think? How can be applied, and where is the gap today, and what is needed to go there,
Sure,
reach there?
sure. So the gap today is, let's say you get a big tender document, so it starts with initial tender document. Then there are,
Yeah.
tender meetings where clarifications are sought. Then you have to arrive at an estimation, overall estimation of, let's say, cement, concrete,
Hmm.
steel. There is something called as MEP in construction industry. So all the
Right.
mechanical
Yes.
engineer and electrical and plumbing equipment, all of that gets into something called as RFP response or request for proposal, or gets into proposal mode, where you actually draft complete engineering calculations from similar project. Let's say L&T built Hyderabad Metro. So it has a template for Hyderabad Metro. The same template can be reused for L&T bidding for Chennai Metro. Okay. So that is how
Okay.
every phase of
Hmm.
tendering, bid submission, material estimation, bill of quantities, bill of material, bill of services, how do you engage which kind of subcontractor, in every phase of this pre contract, AI can be used to extract information using techniques like generative AI, BERT, transformer architecture. And it can basically tell people involved in contracting, estimation, where are the risks, where are the obligations, what are my timelines. So an AI algorithm can construct entire
Hmm.
project plan, timeline, bill of quantities, and everything required from an engineering calculation perspective.
A company has to evaluate, you have certain calculators for them to even know it beforehand, or it's an extensive process?
Correct. So there is lot of rule driven systems and calculations which are already there, that we
Hmm.
tie in with the modern generative AI algorithms, which
Okay.
help you in understanding the contract better. Because understanding a tender and a contract, there is a huge team to
Hmm.
just understand, and that is the work
Hmm.
which is done in a much faster way by using AI algorithms.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, okay, so I'll build on the next module instead of asking how it is implemented. But
Yeah,
if we can have another session where we help people, because I understand there are a lot of companies on the startup side who have
correct.
actually made their things open source. It's simply open source so that
Yeah,
the next company doesn't waste and they collaborate. So AI probably,
correct.
I'll add that question, that is AI that is, you don't have to keep it because you're LNT, but maybe you should open up so that everybody adds to it and then it evolves faster, better, for the better.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So I
is
think
it important?
this is a mixed approach right now used by industry. So for example,
Okay.
Meta, Facebook is
Hmm.
releasing all their
Hmm.
large language model in
Hmm.
open source. Okay. Now,
True.
moving
Yes.
forward, every industry will start publishing more models,
Hmm.
AI algorithmic assets in open source,
Hmm.
and they will also
Hmm.
start protecting some of them, because some of them will become domain intensive. They will use highly
Hmm.
confidential knowledge. They will Some
Hmm.
of the algorithms and models will become highly differentiating. It will become almost a competitive advantage. So
True. I can imagine.
there will be a mix of open source and proprietary models in AI.
Hmm. Hmm. It's quite palpable, it should be that way. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. So next, I believe after tender you covered risk also there.
yeah,
I think the next part it can impact is the design. How are you
correct.
automating the design part? So why don't you
Right.
talk about that one module?
Sure, sure. So there is already a very sophisticated 7-layer model of how do you
Hmm.
design a typical building or
Okay.
a bridge or
Hmm.
a road or an
Hmm.
airport. And that
Hmm.
is a field called building information modeling. They call it BIM. And BIM is
Hmm.
really
Yes.
a abstract as well as mathematical as well as calculation intensive model. Now, what we are doing
Hmm.
is we are adding an AI layer to the BIM. So what do I
Hmm.
mean by that? So I can have a
Hmm.
conversational layer on top of BIM where I can go
Hmm.
to a project and ask, I can literally humanize a project. So if I go to
Hmm.
a large airport size site
Hmm.
and I want to know how
Hmm.
far we have progressed, okay, all that data
Hmm.
is already
Hmm.
there in BIM and CAD systems and
Hmm.
project plans. So I just go
Hmm.
there and like ChatGPT interface, I ask the project. I'm asking project. I'm humanizing the whole
Okay.
project. So when I
Hmm.
humanize, I'm asking the project, how far you are complete? Are you
Hmm.
profitable? Which phase are
Hmm.
you in? Have you
Hmm.
finished
Hmm.
cement work? Have you finished electrical
Hmm.
work? So
Hmm.
that is
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
very, very interesting part. So when we go on site and implement this, for every site we are
Yes.
implementing, people have that
Right.
feeling of unbelievability, And like they always say that sufficient amount of complex science and math is
Yes.
indistinguishable from magic. So that is what is happening.
Right. I can imagine when you ask a person, a project manager, he still has his duties, his KPIs, his insecurities, his goals. But when you're asking a project, if you're transferring those attributes to that,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yes, it sounds like magic just because you change the
yeah.
ownership.
Correct, correct.
That's
And
beautiful.
then there is the
Almost
data.
artistic, not even magical. It is artistic, I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah. And the data is
Yes.
available. I can
Hmm.
correlate that with PC Sarkar's effort of, vanishing the train and so on.
Wow.
Because a deep maths and science and most of the AI, if it
Hmm.
realizes the real life use case, it is really indistinguishable from magic.
I love that thought. I love that analogy that you brought in, sir. Moving next, I think supply chain is a very important topic across the globe. They have been
Yeah,
impacted very differently.
yeah.
You tell me, yes, the similarities, but supply chain in your, how have you impacted that? Yeah.
Correct, correct. So I think one of the biggest problem with supply chains nowadays, and I'm not just talking construction supply chain across the world,
Yeah.
is really
Generic.
predicting the geopolitical risks. What happened with Ukraine war, what happened with
Mm.
Israel-Palestine war, is how do you predict the geopolitical risk and then have
Mm.
alternate supply chain, have rebuilt supply chain. How do you get
Mm.
alternative suppliers, alternative
Mm.
manufacturers? So that is one big
Mm.
piece of supply chain.
Yes, sir.
We call it SCMAI. So part of SCMAI, it's a big piece. Then there is
Okay.
route optimization. If you are transporting large amount of quantities of construction material like steel, cement,
Mm.
what,
Mm.
what is the optimal route? What should be the
Mm.
inventory at every site? You at any point you
Right.
have several hundreds of sites where project is
Mm.
happening. How do you
Mm.
ensure that you have optimal inventory? That's another big challenge we are solving using AI under our
Right.
SCMAI umbrella. Similar to that,
Wonderful.
there are landed costs calculation. Let's say you are importing some material. So earlier,
Mm.
all the ERP systems like SAP, they used to have landed cost calculation. Today,
Mm.
I need to have a AI-driven, chat GPT-driven scenario generator, and it will give me all
Mm.
possible cost. Now, this is
Mm.
very
Mm.
interesting. And again, this comes to the same level of design, example I gave you. People
Mm.
are people were expecting this kind of magic for last 20 years. I mean, I have a
Mm.
career of around 26 years. I
Mm.
started with helping companies in supply chain, enterprise resource planning, material requirement planning. That time people used to say all data is available, the system should tell me what should I do. Now that is
Mm.
happening. Now people are saying
Finally.
SAP is also like a project is humanized. Their core
Yes.
ERP, which could be Oracle or SAP, should also be humanized. I should go to SAP desk and talk it out. And I should say, tell
Uh,
me what is the
uh,
best
uh,
optimal route to procure cement? What are the
mm.
best locations to procure steel? These are the questions
Mm.
people are posing to SCM AI.
Mm.
And that is the
Mm.
interesting, and that is again interesting phase. So I have another analogy where very soon people will forget that there is something called as mouse and keyboard to the computer. It will all
Mm.
be language. Language is the
Mm.
new UI, and ChatGPT is the new user interface. And it will all be natural language. It will all be, right now we are typing. We are very close to doing, uh, you know, uh, speech to text and then text to
Mm.
prompt to the chat GPT.
Mm.
So
Mm.
all those
Mm.
automations are now converging. So
Correct.
you might ask, this Iron Man movie where there is Jarvis and Jarvis controls
Mm.
everything. Now this
Mm.
movie is
Mm.
only eight
Mm.
years old, and that is happening right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True. Mm. No, we know that part, no, where the movie scriptwriters actually sit with the future scientists and steal the
Yeah,
papers from there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes,
And that is
yes.
happening with chess also, by the way. The biggest
Uh-huh.
chess grandmasters are working more on
Hmm.
algorithm and self-play than playing with competitors. And
Hmm.
all these four wonder kids from India, they
Huh.
have
Huh.
surpassed global levels by just talking, playing with
Talking through AI.
with AlphaGo, Alpha Chess kind of algorithms.
I'm glad I brought you in because these are things only positive insights, that we're hearing about AI in between all the stress that people are also having about the negatives of AI. So I'm glad we had this bit. Uh, so when we were talking about AI in supply chain, like because supply chain is such a across the industry solution, what came into my mind is that everybody's investing so heavily. And you
Yeah,
know, I'm a evangelist for the startup culture or product culture. So tell me
yeah,
something, is there a place where you guys would rely on vendors? Still, there's a
yeah.
place for SaaS product owners, or do you want to do everything bottom up,
No,
everything
no,
within
it's
your
a mix.
organization, or is that
Yes,
place?
absolutely.
Hmm.
That's a very good question. It's always a mix. So
Hmm.
for several startups, and we are also well integrated through our
Hmm.
L&T EduTech in the
Hmm.
incubator and university ecosystem. So we are always
Hmm.
seeking innovations directly coming
Hmm.
either from a university, from an incubated startup,
Hmm.
small
Hmm.
vendors who have done some work. So
Hmm.
I used to mentor few companies earlier. Some of them have come up with few innovations. All those innovations. So we don't have a complete build strategy. We have make or buy or make plus buy kind of strategy in every solution we are building in AI.
So when you look at, so mostly you're looking at people who develop a product and give it off to you or work
Some
for
of
you,
them,
or they're SaaS. Are you open to SaaS?
some of them are SaaS. Some of them are. So for example, we use HR system which is known, which is a complete SaaS, right? And then we are adding some AI layer on
Hmm.
top.
Hmm. Hmm. I understand. And in your core things, which are core to you, which is not the functional support, but the core, like we talked about supply chain, contract, or design, or maybe the
Yeah,
upcoming, let's say your vision thing. So there are you open to SaaS companies who come up with those
yeah.
solutions?
We are working with SaaS companies in Vision AI. We are also working with some of the robotics companies
Hmm.
because
You are.
along with vision, tightly linked is a robotics part. So
Hmm.
robotics again is a big area for construction. I will explain it little later.
So
But
let's
it is
cover that. That is the section here. But exactly that point, when you cover that point, sir, that what is the role in construction, monitoring of site and all.
correct,
But tell
correct.
me, if it is SaaS, is that, see, it's a huge investment. It's a lot of
Yeah.
investment when you talk about anything. So when these SaaS companies come up to you, are you also looking at co-investing in them? Because your company is again a gold company. And I really love
Yeah,
that fact that it
correct.
stands for.
That we are open, but that is not being done right now. We are quite open about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right. Okay, sir. So let's move on to how you see the role in monitoring and construction, sir.
Correct. So I think vision AI and robotics, these are the two areas where what we have done is we have a drone center of excellence, which flies and generates images, generate videos, and that goes into direct site supervision.
Right.
Imagine you are building a new construction site across 100 acres. Right now,
Right.
if you have to do 100-acre survey, it will take maybe weeks. But
Huh.
then we send a swarm of drones, and that happens in a matter of a single day. And then we pass the images, videos, and images captured by drone, along with other cameras, along with
Hmm.
other geo. We have a big database of geospatial, and then we construct output of a survey, which would otherwise would
Hmm.
have taken weeks, and we are doing in a matter
Hmm.
of days using computer vision algorithms.
Interesting. So, drones and cameras, yes. So, according to you, you see a long term also, you see potential for them to upgrade and do better. Is there any gap in that area? Because I seem to read something
Oh
which I
yes,
remember, but
yes.
I wanted
See,
to hear from you.
correct. So it is like any other industry where application usage is driving the hardware part, and their ability to take better picture, ability to stream
Hmm.
data at a higher rate. Then there is something called as edge computing in vision, where
Hmm.
you start
Hmm.
doing inferencing and object recognition at a drone level only. Instead of pulling those images all the way up to down on a cloud, you try to do in situ on the edge also. So that those are some of the things which are happening. And we are working with quite a few hardware vendors, even at an R&D stage where we need specific drone, because it is not just site survey, it is also progress monitoring on a construction site. So if you go on a very, very big construction site, let's say Chennai Metro is spread across easily few thousand acres. Okay. And the one stretch alone would be like 10 kilometer. Another stretch will be 15 kilometer. How do you know how far the construction has happened? It is humanly impossible. It was not, again, I'll bring the magic point, Earlier, it was impossible to have that kind of progress. So you will have some sections, and for each section, we'll have a manager. And that manager will only know update for that section. They will not know how far we have completed the Chennai Metro construction. If you are building an airport, you will not know. So we recently launched Delhi new terminal. We launched Bangalore terminal. Building a terminal is a massive effort because the construction site is few thousand acres. How do you know how much you have finished? How do you know how much is remaining? How do you use the progress monitoring to generate invoices and collect money from the agency which is playing? All of that right now is
Huge
being
change.
automated using computer vision.
So where is the role of blockchain now? It's still active, right? Does blockchain become stronger with AI?
Blockchain is still around, but we are using very, very judiciously. So we are not using blockchain for the sake of it. Okay. So the way we have a policy of blockchain usage where we try to see if conventional database or distributed database can be used, which doesn't require cryptographic calculation required by blockchain, then we don't use blockchain. But we use blockchain wherever required, but it is not blockchain for the sake of blockchain.
Okay, sir. So moving from there, I think we've covered the core areas. What about the support functions? We did have a passing mention on HR.
So I think when I say support, it is multiple functions: our marketing, communications, and PR, our HR, our legal, and our finance. All of these functions we are automating, and there are various degrees of automation. So we have built sophisticated forecasting algorithm. We have built churn analytics algorithm for HR. We have built legal contract redlining, finding out some of the intricate components of a legal case, because these we get into large contracts, right? And there are always cases filed. And then how do you respond to that case in a minimal time? That's where we are using AI. So legal, finance, we use extensive forecasting, material price prediction, revenue forecasting, profit forecasting the end dates of projects, forecasting delays in project. That's where the financial part comes. And then working capital, inventory management, optimization. Those are some of the algorithms we have built. So it covers legal, PR and marketing communication, finance and HR. Those are the support function block. And that is fairly generic because under L&T alone, we have 150 plus companies. So whatever we build for main company gets immediately rolled out as a global template across all the companies.
The good ROI, a great ROI to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. So when I was hearing you, yes, the product companies, the startups, the tech companies can come in, but they will need giants like you guys,
Yeah.
So especially this industry is so capital intensive. So how do you see you and your peers, how the other ecosystem to emerge, So where would you place all of you as the center of your universe, and how are you maybe collaborating, or how do you guys see the next few years for your role?
In many ways, we have identified areas where we need cooperation and areas where we can compete. That is one. Second thing is, I'll give you a very funny incident. What I did, in Chat GPT, there is something called as prompt engineering. Okay. I constructed a prompt which had a data pulled out from all the annual reports and balance sheets of top 10 companies. And I said to the
Right.
prompt that depending on digital, AI, data science, machine learning, computer vision, robotics adoption, read through their balance sheets and annual report and rate all these 10 companies.
Right.
Okay, and that came
You
like a
did it.
magic.
It's
It actually
magic. It's
captured.
magic.
It actually captured what
Yeah.
we are doing, and everybody was saying, Akash, this is very confidential. I said it is reflecting into our annual reports. Okay, so it's a surprise, and it was a 2-minute job to construct that
Yeah.
prompt, and it actually gave the output of all 10 groups in India. How are they on digital? How are they on IT? How are they on AI, data science, machine learning, computer vision, and robotics? These are the 6 criteria, and it constructed the table. I mean, that's an exercise I
It's
will
beautiful.
encourage everybody. If you just want to know or want AI to tell you where you are, instead of you
Right.
rating
You can
yourself,
check them.
instead of and L&T came quite high in almost,
Okay.
I think 6 out of 8 criteria. It was high, very high.
Awesome. 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 Well, that talks about the genesis and the core of the company. We were also talking about, tell me something more about how it's a beauty that earlier we were talking that all your lines, nobody had a family or nobody was, it was not nepotism actually, right? For example,
Yeah,
or nothing. Tell me what is the virtue and culture of the company here
correct. So I
that
think
stands apart and
L&T,
which is helping you guys build whatever you're
yeah,
building.
see, L&T has this unique culture where the founding family, Larsen and Toubro, on which the company is named, they were Danish engineer who came to India in 1930s. During World War II, they stayed in India and they built this wonderful company from office with one chair, one table and two chair office in Mumbai Fort, which is where the L&T house is there right now. And now we have more than 550 big sites. From there, the way they built it, none of their children, their grandchildren, nobody has shareholding in L&T. L&T right now is owned by the trust, which is headed by all L&Tians, people who have either worked or who have retired after 40 years of work. So the beauty of this company is there is no central ownership. You compare that with Tata's, Birla's, Adani, Ambani. There is either one person or one family controlling the whole company. L&T is not controlled by anybody. So L&T's all 6 chairmen or maybe 8 chairmen, past chairmen and present chairmen, have had joined L&T as graduate engineer trainee or postgraduate trainee. And they rose.
That's a dream you can dream.
They rose
Yes.
in a manner of 30 to 35 years, maybe 40 years from GET to chairman. That is the beauty of this company. So this company,
Yes.
nobody working inside company, there is no owner who is large shareholder. There is a trust which is owned by present and ex-employees. They own it. And government of India through LIC, they own large chunk of L&T and public. So there is no central person. Isn't this beautiful system? Is this a typical utopian system that the decision making will be far more democratized, the company will be highly professional, all those desired things, which large group in India, and for that matter, the only comparable company which comes to my mind, and I have worked with that company in Spain, called Mondragon Cooperative Corporation. It's again a 150 plus company conglomerate built all on cooperative principles. So there is again no a single owner, single large shareholder as an individual, and it is a highly democratic, highly people-centric company.
This also that we just spoke about also comes as a relief, stroke of relief, because recently when I was also contemplating, I run 2 companies, but when I see that since there is a head, or there is a person who can transfer the values and ethics, you still stick to ethics and values. You stick with a certain, fabric of moral. But when we see certain large companies who are not still public or don't have this, I was always wondering how do they maintain that entire culture of ownership, accountability? So I used to
Yeah,
always wonder. So one answer is going maybe public, maybe something. Because let's see, you as a spectator, what, I'm not talking about L&T in specific, all these large companies, what makes for a start, for a founder, for a company who owns a CEO, how do you ensure that after you also the culture remains of productivity, accountability, doing the right things, having a culture, basically not losing a culture. You need a culture. As a
correct.
spectator in working in so many companies, it's a side question beyond tech, but I just thought I should ask you.
Absolutely. I think this is very important. See, most of the time, culture is function of the founding family and founders and their children and
Mm-hmm.
grandchildren. But the unique advantage L&T has, and the other example I gave you, Mondragon, these are all classically known in American academia as worker-owned enterprises. L&T is technically not worker-owned enterprises, but it has all the advantages of worker-owned enterprises, which means if tomorrow there is nobody, the chairman, let's say, retires out of company, the collective ethos translates into the company culture, and the
Mm-hmm.
next transition happens fairly smoothly. Now compare that with the top 15 groups. When we got independence, India got independence in 1947. Compare that time there were top 15 industrial group. There was Mafatlal, there was Walchand Hirachand, there was Kirloskars, there was obviously Tata,
Mm-hmm.
Birla. Out of those 15, only two are surviving right now because their next generation did not have the same vision, same perseverance, same ability to execute. And that's where those companies are no more. That cannot happen to company like L&T. Because right now,
Mm-hmm.
company is not running purely on the whims and fancy of, let's say, a person who's leading it right now, a chairperson or chairwoman or chairman. It is highly collaborative decision making. It is highly a culture which takes a longish view of what should happen to L&T. The way we are going, we are into semiconductor, we are into data centers, we are into technology services through LTI Mindtree, we are into engineering services through LTTS, we are
Mm-hmm.
into finance to L&T Finance, home finance. We are also into defense. Now, it's very important how diversified you are will
Mm-hmm.
decide if one industry goes down, other industry will pick you up. If one
Mm-hmm.
industry is driving, like you have this famous GE model of cash cows, stars, and
Yes, yes, yes,
so you
yes.
will always have some businesses which are cash cows, some businesses which are
Mm.
rising star, some businesses which are problem child, and
Mm.
that is a wonderfully, I would say,
Balances each other.
balanced and anti-fragile structure for any conglomerate.
Hmm. Very interesting. So at this note, I think we have covered the role of AI and in building and construction. If there is anything specific, maybe we can, you tell me if anything missing you want to speak about how this industry
We
can be
we
still
still
transformed.
missed
Is there a
one.
potential?
We miss one big component, which is projects AI. What I call it, project
Yes.
management, monitoring, tracking. This
Yeah.
again is now highly automated using AI and machine learning. And when I
Hmm.
say AI, I always refer to a broader umbrella of good old statistics, data science,
Hmm.
machine learning, computer
Hmm.
vision, robotics, good old operation research and optimization. That constitutes the
Hmm.
complete AI umbrella along with the modern Gen AI. So most of these
Right.
techniques are evolved and they have a huge amount of use cases and bottom line impact.
Right. Wonderful. Yes, they do. And rather to come from, that was time when we last talked, you part of a project planning. So, that is
Yeah,
the
yeah. Project planning, absolutely, absolutely. So my journey has been fairly consistent. I moved from contracts company R&D head for a company called iCertis to project management
right.
to a business process automation, and now into a real life construction, brick and mortar. It can
Right.
be as brick and mortar as it can get.
Correct. Now that leaves me, that builds up my next question, which I'd always had in me. So that's one initiative which I am very fond of, passionate about, building a culture of, Silicon Valley in Pune. I'm sure it's
Yeah,
there. We just have to get
correct.
together. So you just mentioned the last two, three companies. iCertis is a great company out of Pune again. So tell
Yeah,
me something on this note. Where are
yeah. I
the
think
stars shining from Pune?
Yeah, I
Just
think
give audience.
Pune, by the way, if you analyze all the unicorns and startups
Yeah.
across India, okay, so Delhi and Mumbai are generating B2C, marketing driven, pure automation driven, like Swiggy or Zomato and so
Right.
on kind of startups. Okay.
Uh,
The very unique, culture in Pune is they are all engineering software product driven startups. So you take Dhruva, you take iCertis, you take companies like Persistent, which are not startups, but yeah, they grew through venture capital. All of these are strong engineering companies. So Pune is really giving engineering innovation in a startup world. So I have a friend who runs an incubator. He has incubated more than 40 companies. All of them are engineering software startups. And these are not B2C startups. These are not retail driven, discount driven startups. So if you look at the initial growth of Zomato's of the world, Swiggy's
yes.
of the world, it was all about discount. It
Right.
was not about technology. So I take a lot of
It was not a
pride.
product first. It was, bleeding
Correct.
and growing.
So I take a lot of pride in Pune startups. They are engineer driven, they are entrepreneur driven. They would be, I have been a serial entrepreneur. So people would have taken shots at entrepreneurship multiple times and they will still build a
What came
very.
into this DNA? It's probably, yes, it is a manufacturing hub. The lowest
So
layer
I
was
think one other big thing which we don't realize is Pune is one of the biggest education hubs in India. The amount of engineering universities, the medical colleges, the research universities. By the way, National Institute of Virology, the biggest research during COVID time was in Pune. Okay, then we have Army Institute of Technology doing defense research. Then we have colleges like COEP, Cummins, PICT, VIT, MIT, producing thousands of engineering innovations and engineers. This is a big raw material for building any
It
kind of
is.
engineering startup.
Plus, I would also think it was Chakan, the Ranjangaon, all these
Correct.
companies were large
So
companies.
good old automotive, yes, good old
A lot of
automotive hub.
captive. We have so many captives in Pune itself. I mean, it's a hub of
Absolutely,
technology companies. So
absolutely.
both supply and demand are coming together. And also, this was about the startup culture. I'm so glad the product first approach is coming from here. That is where we need to be in the next 10 years, right? We don't want to be just known as a services company. And that's the
Correct.
population, the education, and the companies who have laid the first stage. And also, we
Yeah.
are ready now. We want to see more of ourselves. We don't want to
Yeah.
be known as a service company.
Correct. In fact, when I entered into IT industry and maybe 10 years later, it was always, there would be an ASCOM report which will say India is only doing testing and low-end work.
Yeah.
Now, I said this kind of company does R&D out of India and sells into Seattle. So it's a product built on JM Road on Pune with a large team of advanced engineering data science team. I was heading one stream of data scientists in
Right.
R&D and iCertis.
Right.
We are building product in Pune and that is going globally. Globally, it is number one company in contract.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is we have moved very, very rapidly from testing BPO to software development to doing product R&D. Product R&D is the highest echelon, right? Where you try to get brilliant minds and build products. Okay. That is happening out of Pune. I don't know how many cities can boast that kind of, reputation.
Great. No, it's awesome. First, IT came to us. Now let's take IT back to them. I think that's how
Correct.
we should be going.
Yeah.
Let's name few of the CIOs who have come from here. You've joined the L&T group. No, just to have that refresher. Where are your CIOs? Who are the CTO CIOs from Pune now ruling the whole country or the world? Any of them?
So I think the biggest name which comes to my mind is Anand Deshpande, founder and chairman of Persistent. He is absolutely ruling the product engineering space across the globe. Then people like Monish Darda, who's CTO of iCertis. Then co-founder and CTO of Dhruva. Then very good old, nobody knows that when I say that on the same JM Road, there was a building, there is a building called Mutha Chambers. And 25 years ago, there was a company called Cyrus Logic. Now, Cyrus Logic was started by a gentleman named Suhas Patil, right from our own COEP. And that time he used to employ 6,000 engineers in Silicon Valley. I'm talking 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are tons of Pune pride. Then there is another of my batchmate, Nikhil Zakaddar, who had like 5 big startups in US. His present startup is a company called GenePath Diagnostics. So he's using algorithm, data science, machine learning for medical and this is personalized patient care. So it's
Hmm.
a primary, sometimes primary, tertiary, and secondary care, where he is using genetic algorithms and genetic human genome project kind of input, and building customized solutions for you. So this is on the innovation side. On the CIO side, we have CIOs of companies like Telco, Bajaj, Bharat Forge. These are some of the biggest companies. They are adopting all the digital. They are adopting all the AI, data science. They are automating their processes in terms of supply chain, manufacturing. This is amazing journey. I mean, there has to be a separate cluster case study on Pune and in and around Pune on how Pune is adopting innovations.
I could take this up. I think I'm going to take it next offline because
Yeah,
yes, so we plan to release a report anyway, but why not this part? Because it is our pride, and let's give it back to Pune and let's grow Pune, because there's so many
correct.
times, like I told about collaboration. Why reinvent the same thing? When I often see the venture capitalists sitting on the board, they
Yeah,
multiply money, they make money decisions, but
yeah, yeah.
knowledge decision lies with ages of CIO,
By
CTOs
the
who
way, there is another big connection, and you will see his video interviews everywhere. Sabir Bhatia studied in Bishop's School, Pune. The
really.
guy who sold Hotmail for $400 million,
Yeah, yeah. I
and
missed that story.
Sabir talks a lot about venture capitalists who are, so he says there are two kind of venture capitalists right now.
Hmm.
One is pure private equity players
Hmm.
who only invest in profit making, revenue earning companies, and another set of venture capitalists who really bet on big ideas.
Huh.
So those are some of the venture capitalists which are now pouring in Pune. Actually, they are
Hmm.
trying to bet on big ideas. They are not trying to see, private equity is funding businesses.
Correct.
True venture capital should fund a venture where somebody says, here is an industry problem and I'll solve it by betting my career, my co-founder team's career, and your money on it.
I am envisioning a role of venture intellectuals or venture, you know, in
Yeah,
engineers. I think that's also important. You're pushing in money, but where is the idea? The IT is known by you guys sitting in your seat for the last 20 years. All products come to you first. I think there
yeah.
is a lot of knowledge which is not being applied, probably. Anyway, that's for another day. I think at this note, we had some amazing conversation. I want to still do a small bit on, a quick, what do you say, the fastest fingers out. So it'll be a one word answer you have to say. Let's
Yeah.
add some fun element here. So you'll have to tell only one word or a one line against what I ask you. Yeah. Yeah. So the first is passion.
It's very difficult to say.
I thought you'll say AI.
My passion, do I have to answer
Sure.
my
You
passion?
can say anything, but whatever comes first to
Yeah,
you
I
when you
think
use the word
I will
passion.
go more foundationally. Philosophy and maths. They are
Okay.
intertwined, but yeah, it's one word. Bertrand Russell was a philosopher as well as mathematician. So yeah,
They are the biggest. The more tech you get, I think they have had an arm of philosophy, definitely.
correct.
Daily routine. Daily routine.
Oh, daily routine is get up early, get up early, hit the gym, go to office, dress up, show up.
For me, it has become so important. If you don't have daily routine, nothing is in place. A
Yeah,
daily
yeah.
routine is great.
By the way, that's one big thing. Both my brothers have retired early.
Huh, huh.
And I am continuing because I like this. There is something likable about daily routines in life.
Yeah.
And since I built three companies, it has been a real roller coaster ride.
Uh,
Uh, I have always been, even in L&T and my own companies, I have been the first guy to hit the office and last to leave, mostly.
that comes with the power of routine. I'm very sure. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
otherwise
correct.
do it. You can't live the energy otherwise.
Yeah,
One
absolutely.
most very important skill a CDO or CIO or CTO will need to have in his armor. Yeah.
I think it is not a skill as such. Technology is the skill, and I will again go to the foundation of maths.
Hmm.
But from a the soft skill would be the passion.
Hmm.
If you have in-depth mathematical knowledge and passion, you can virtually build any kind of company right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
And everything is converging towards AI, by the way.
Yeah, it is it's inseparable, inevitable, unleavable. One
Yeah.
most important, we actually asked you, but one, so that's the answer. But anyway, I'll tell it. One important technology set a CIO must have it is in his armor set.
It's AI.
Yeah.
All the way AI. It is like they say, this is turtles all the way down. It is AI all the way down. If you go a little deeper under the hood of AI, it is math, stats, philosophy, and psychology.
That's a great point. One book, a book.
Okay, so one book I always suggest everybody is a book called Web of Life by Fritjof Capra.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a book which will generate web of ideas in your mind.
Mm.
At one point, when I bought that book for the first time, that book has close to 130 chapter references. And I had crawled either the reference chapter which is going to or a paper it is going to. I had been through all. I had created a big folder of all Web of Life references.
Really? Wonderful.
That is the level of and even now I read it when I'm flying. I have that book and couple of other books with me. I read it on all the airport lounges and inside aircraft. That is a wonderful read. It is a book written. He also has another book called Tower of Physics, but Web of Life is the book you should read.
Okay.
Fritjof Capra was a quantum physicist
Okay.
who said Western science and Eastern mysticism both are required by humanity. Both of them do not need each other. Western science does not need Eastern mysticism. Eastern mysticism doesn't need Western science, but humanity needs both.
Incidentally, when I've been meeting all you guys here, whenever we meet, the discussion definitely goes to a philosophical angle, from technology to people to managing things. It is it's just another side of the coin. Building and construction industry, since that was a theme.
Sure.
One word for that, whatever comes relevant.
Nation builders. We are literally building nation right now. Every road which you see today, every metro, every airport, every Atal Setu, every high-speed rail, every bullet train, every metro, every AIMS which is being built. So we are like, right now, L&T is backbone of nation building.
And the last but not the least, the most significant today, Akash Mavle.
Akash Mavle, one word is, again, I'll go to math. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were such a fantastic lover of maths, but yes, we need something. And I can see your background. It's all maths again. Yes.
Right.
So on that note, I had a lovely Sunday morning. I hope you did too. I'll be looking forward for this release. It's an exciting burst of, again, a wonderful discussion like always. Akash ji.
Absolutely, Ipsita. It was wonderful talking to you. And hopefully we will do a very interesting one on one of my personal research area I mentioned, but we will keep that as a surprise.
Yes.
And this connects with an ancient Maharshi who built something 2,500 years ago. So that's a teaser I'm giving to everybody, if people can figure out.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Have a great day, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Really appreciate it.